You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. When you feel overwhelmed, when you feel overwhelmed, there are times in our lives when we feel overwhelmed by the responsibilities on our plate, overwhelmed by the tough decisions we need to make, overwhelmed because of problems in our bodies or problems in our families, overwhelmed because of our living situation or our relationship status or our financial troubles, overwhelmed because I'm just not happy with my life, because I'm tired of living in this house, because I got to fold all these clothes. Now, I saw something the other day that said laundry, washing clothes, 30 minutes. Drying clothes, 50 minutes. Folding clothes, 7 to 10 business days. Amen. In some area in our lives, we often feel overwhelmed. In our text today, the Israelites, led by King Jehoshaphat, are under attack by 3 groups of people: the Moabites, the Ammonites, and some of the Meunites. That's 3 against 1. And according to verse 3 of our chapter, when King Jehoshaphat receives word of the ensuing attack, he is afraid. That is, he is overwhelmed. What do you do when you're overwhelmed? And that's such a great question. I'm so glad you raised it. When you feel like you're overwhelmed, you need to know where your help comes from. In verse 12 of our text, Jehoshaphat prays to God, saying, "We are powerless against this great multitude that is coming against us, but our eyes are on you. Our eyes are on you." So despite all the threats against him, Jehoshaphat focuses on the God who is for him. Here, Jehoshaphat acknowledges that he needs God. And have you ever noticed that when you complete a survey or an application or a questionnaire, there's a space for optional information and there's a space for required information. Your gender is optional, but your name is required. Your age is optional, but your mailing address is required. Your racial ethnic identity is optional, but your credit card number is required. And if you're going to overcome what overwhelms you, you need to know that God is not optional, but God is required. You can make it without a lot of things, but you cannot make it without God. God is the gas that keeps your car running. God is the Wi-Fi that keeps you connected. God is a very present help in the time of trouble. And in our text, by focusing on God, Jehoshaphat demonstrates faith in God. And oftentimes, God will use tension in your life to increase your faith in your Lord. And I need some help to make this plain. I need some help. So I asked Anthony McLean to help me. Can you come forward and help me preach today, Anthony? Let's thank God for Anthony as he comes forward. Now Anthony has a rubber band in his hand. Now I know you were just a runner-up for the biggest winner, so you're in good shape. You're in good shape now. So don't break the rubber band, okay? Don't break it. That'll mess the whole thing up. But I want you to stretch the rubber band. Stretch, not too much, but stretch it. And now notice that when he stretches it, the tension increases. And as the tension increases, the rubber band increases as well. And oftentimes, God uses the tension in your life to increase the size of the faith in your life. God is using trouble to increase your faith. God is using pain to increase your faith. God is using trials to increase your faith. God is using tension to stretch you and grow you and build you and bless you. Somebody thank God for Anthony. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And you should have faith. You should have faith in God, because God will fight for you. After Jehoshaphat prays to God, God sends word to the people in verse 15 saying, "Thus says the Lord to you, do not fear or be dismayed at this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but the battle is God's." And there are some battles battles in your life that you don't even have to fight yourself. And not too long ago, somebody asked me, as a pastor, how do you feel when you hear that somebody has said something negative or untrue about you? And I said, I don't like it. I don't like it. And they said, it has to be something you can do about it. It has to be something. And I said, look. I said, God has created me to communicate the gospel through preaching, teaching, and writing. I have a hungry Bible study class waiting for me every Sunday morning. I have a congregation that's waiting for a well-prepared sermon every Sunday morning. I have a blog post that needs to go out every Monday morning. I have a book I need to finish writing. These are the things that God has called me to focus on. So I can't worry about what so-and-so is saying over there. See, while I focus on God's assignment on my life over here, I'll let God fight that battle for me over there. See, instead of wasting your energy focusing on the foolishness against you, use that energy to focus on the God who's fighting for you. Focus on the God who will never leave you nor forsake you. Focus on the God who has your back. Focus on the God who will make your enemies your footstool. And as long as God is fighting for you, you will always win because it's rigged. See, a few years ago, one of my favorite TV shows was Scandal, starring Kerry Washington, who played crisis manager Olivia Pope. And on the show, Olivia is part of a lobbyist group that rigged the presidential election. And when something is rigged, the winner is determined from the outset. And as long as God is fighting your battles for you, every battle you're in is rigged. You may not be able to see it yet. You may not feel like it yet. You may not be walking in it yet. But it's rigged. God will give you the victory. It's rigged. God will work it out for you. It's rigged. God will make a way just for you. In our text, when God says this battle is not yours, God is really saying, I don't need your help. God is saying, I don't need your help. And contrary to popular belief, God doesn't need your help to bless you. See, God is God enough to bring your blessing all by himself. Now, I don't know if you know this about me. You probably don't. But I'm a fan of Tom Brady, who currently and maybe temporarily plays for the New England Patriots. And a couple Sundays ago, there was a rumor that Tom Brady, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, could be joining the Dallas Cowboys. That was a rumor. So when it was brought to my attention, I approached some of the adamant Dallas Cowboys fans in the church, people like Keith Hubbard and Carla Bennett and Chantel Staff, and I said, hey, did you hear the news? We might be on the same team. Brady might be a Cowboy next year. This our year. Go Cowboys. The star. And when I reached out to hug them, though, they gave me the cold shoulder. Get off me. Don't touch me. We don't want Brady. And I'm like, dang, I don't understand. And can you imagine the sermon titles that can come from Brady joining the Cowboys? Let me give you a few. When the Savior shows up. What do you think? Okay, here's another. God will send what you need. And here's my personal favorite. Help is on the way. Y'all like that? Okay. And now, nevertheless, these adamant Cowboys fans don't want Brady. And you know what they're really saying? They're really saying, we don't need your help. That's what they're saying. And in our text today, that's what God is telling Jehoshaphat. When God tells Jehoshaphat, this battle is not yours, God is saying, I don't need your help. See, God doesn't need your help to bless you. If God wants to bless you, there's nothing anybody can do to stop it. And sometimes the less you do, the more God can do. In verse 17 of our text, prior to the battle, God gives the Israelites specific instructions. God says, take your position, stand still, and see the victory of the Lord on your behalf. God wants them to just stand. Now, if I were Jehoshaphat and I knew that 3 nations were attacking me, I'd be tempted to ask God, you sure, God? You sure you just want me to stand? You do know it's 3 of them and 1 of us. You sure you don't want me to run? And our text shows us that God can do for you what you cannot do for yourself. Now, there's a story in which a man's computer printer begins to malfunction. And he calls a local repair shop where the friendly sales associate tells him that the printer probably needed to be cleaned. And the sales associate goes on to say, you might be better off reading the printer's manual and trying to do it yourself. And then the guy says, does your boss know that you discourage business at this company? And the sales associate answers, well, it's actually my boss's idea. See, we usually make more money on repairs if we let people try to fix things themselves first. And I said that to say this. Don't try to fix it yourself. Why are you trying to fix it when God is there to fix it for you? And it takes trust to let go and let God. And if your trust is not in God, if your trust is not in God, you will regret it. And as many of you know, Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon.com. And he has a net worth of $121 billion. I mean, he's almost up there with me. He's almost up there with me. But amen, wishful thinking. But what you may not know is that before he started Amazon.com, when he was 30 years old, he had a wonderful job on Wall Street. But while working on Wall Street, he came across a report projecting the annual growth of the World Wide Web at 2,300%. So 3 months later, Bezos headed west to Seattle, rented a house, and started an internet business in the garage. And why did he do this? Well, at 30, he asked himself what he would regret about his life in his 80s. And he says, at 80, I probably wouldn't even remember all the things that seemed so important right then. But I would definitely remember that I ignored the emergence of the internet just as it was happening and tell myself I've been a fool. And I want to encourage you to ask yourself what you will regret in your life down the road. 20 years from now, what would you regret not doing today? 10 years from now, what would you regret not doing today? 5 years from now, what would you regret not doing today? 1 year from now, 1 month from now, 1 week from now, 1 day from now, what would you regret not doing today? Whatever it is, you need to get to work today. Now, if you don't have faith, today, if you don't trust God today, if you don't follow God today, if you don't try God today, you will regret it tomorrow. You should make your tomorrow proud by trusting God today. Take a risk today. Take a leap of faith today. Trust God today. And during the winter term that just passed, I taught a preaching course at the School of Theology at Virginia Union University. And every week, in the middle of my lecture, I would look around the class for a dry erase marker to write something on the board. But there was never one in the room. So one week, as I was looking for a marker, a student said, here you go, Dr. Ennis. Here you go, Dr. Ennis. You can use mine. And after I used the marker, I tried to give it back. But he said, no. Just hold on to it, doctor, so you'll have it next week. And I said, you sure? I might forget. And he said, I trust you, doc. And the next week, when I wanted to write something on the board, I realized that I had forgotten the dry erase marker at my house. So another student said, here you go, Professor Ennis, you can use mine. And as I used the marker, after I used the marker, I tried to give it back. But she said, just hold on to it, Professor, so you'll have it next week. And I said, you sure? She said, yeah, I trust you. And for several weeks, I kept forgetting the marker on the kitchen counter at my house. And over time, I accumulated some stuff. I accumulated 1, 2, I'm not making this up. 3, Okay. 5. All right, let's move on. I accumulated 6 markers over a period of time. And the problem is, my students made the mistake of placing their trust in the wrong person. You can't trust everybody with your stuff, but you can trust God. And if you don't place your trust in somebody, make sure you place your trust in somebody who won't forget about you. Make sure you place your trust in somebody who won't leave your blessing on the counter. Make sure you place your trust in somebody who is reliable. Place your trust in God. And you should place your trust in God because God will always come through for you. In verse 7 of our text, when Jehoshaphat catches wind of the imminent attack against the Israelites, he prays to God saying, "Did you not, O God, drive out the inhabitants of this land before the people Israel and give it forever to the descendants of your friend Abraham?" In other words, God, even since the days of Abraham, haven't you always come through for us? Now, New Beginnings Church is 3 years old. And for 3 years, our church administrator, Michelle, has been printing my sermons on Sunday mornings. And every so often, I call Michelle on the way. I call on the way to church and I ask, "Did you print my sermon? Did you print my sermon? Don't forget to print my sermon." And one morning, I guess she got tired of me asking, and she says, "Pastor, in 3 years, have I ever forgotten your sermon? Don't I always have your sermon?" And I said, yeah. And likewise, in all these years, has God ever forgotten about you? Doesn't God always have what you need? Doesn't God always make a way for you? Doesn't God always come through for you? Doesn't God always figure it out for you? Doesn't God always work it out for you? And if God did it before, God can do it again. Same God right now, same God back then. And here's another reason you should place your trust in God. God has a plan today for your tomorrow. God has a plan today for your tomorrow. In verse 16 of our text, a day before God fights on behalf of the Israelites, God tells them, tomorrow, go down against them. Then in verse 17, God says, take your position, stand still, and see the victory of the Lord on your behalf. Do not fear or be dismayed. Tomorrow, go down against them, and the Lord will be with you. God has a plan today for what God is going to do for them tomorrow. And see, God doesn't wait until the battle to plan a strategy to give you victory in the battle. And even if you're not fully aware of what God's plan is, you have to trust that God does have a plan for your life. Now, a couple weeks ago, we had a little bit of snow, just a little bit of snow. And that evening, while I'm driving home from the library, I pull over into a church parking lot to order dinner online from Outback. I pull over. And although it hadn't even started snowing yet, that church had already treated the parking lot with salt in preparation for the snow. They planned ahead of time so that the parking lot would be ready for what was going to happen. And in the same way, before God blesses you, God plans ahead of time so that your blessing is ready before you come into it. While you're at point A, God has already prepared a way for you at point B and point C so that when you get there, everything is in order. And when you look back over your life, you will see that everything that's worked out for you has worked out for you because God prepared a way ahead of time. Every door that's open for you because God opened it ahead of time. Long before you got there, God made a way. And when you couldn't figure it out, God had already planned it out. And even when it comes to your salvation, God had a master plan. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Now, last week I'm in K&G looking for this particular cologne, Gold Jay-Z, and they don't have it in. And I tried to buy the tester bottle, but they won't sell it to me. So yesterday, on my way to, they wouldn't sell me the tester bottle. So So yesterday, on my way to the library, I stopped by the store to see if it came in. And all they have are 1 ounce bottles. All they have are 1 ounce bottles. And those 1 ounce bottles are on sale. Praise the Lord. They're on sale. But when I go to the register, it rings up for an even lower price than the sale price. And I say, praise the Lord. But wait, there's more. I tell the associate, I say, ma'am, I get coupons sent to my phone all the time. Do you think I could apply a coupon to this for an additional discount? And she says, absolutely. And I say, shut up, stop playing. And then I say, praise the Lord. And by the time she finishes totaling my discounts, the cologne is $8. And when I see the price, I say to the lady, $8. Praise the Lord. And then I say, ma'am, can you wait 1 second right here while I go and get another one too, since it's $8? And see, what I want you to see is that the difference between Jesus and me is that even though I wasn't trying to pay the full price, when Jesus died for you, Jesus was willing to pay the full price. Aren't you glad that when it comes to your salvation, Jesus isn't cheap? Aren't you glad that Jesus was willing to pay the full price for you? Jesus paid it all to him my own. Sin and left the crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Aren't you glad that Jesus died for you and sacrificed for you and saved you? Oh, bless that wonderful name of Jesus. Praise that wonderful name of Jesus. No other name I know. Somebody thank God for Jesus. Somebody praise God for Jesus. God is great and greatly to be praised. Let's give God another hand clap.